Hey Carrie, we're back at it again with more Talisman. So, in the last one, I did the base game, just basically explaining all the rules. But now I'm going to start going into the expansions, starting from the more easy ones to eventually working our way up to the more complicated ones. And hopefully, when we decide to have our game, you can pick and choose based on all the rules that we have. So, the next expansion that I'm going to cover is the Reaper expansion. Honestly, it's probably the easiest expansion that we have. And what it entails is that the adventure cards that I was mentioning earlier, with the different places, events, strangers, followers, and objects, there are 90 brand new adventure deck cards, which all have the same back as the ones in the base game. So basically, you shuffle those, creating an even bigger stack of adventure cards. And not only do we have that, the adventure quests that we have within the Warlock's Cave, before you had to roll in order to determine what it was that your quest was going to be. Now, we have these Warlock's quests cards that you can pick from to be your quest. And every time you revisit the Warlock's Cave, you can get rid of a quest that maybe you didn't like and replace it with a new one. There's also more spells to pick from that go in the respective spell decks, as well as one of my favorite parts of any of the expansions that we play with, brand new characters. So we have here the Merchant, we have the Dark Cultist, we have the Sage, and we have the Knight. But more importantly, the star of this whole expansion, the Reaper himself. So when it comes to looking at things from the bigger picture, the Reaper expansion isn't super difficult to incorporate in the game. You simply shuffle the adventure deck into the regular pile, the Warlock's quest become its own pile, and the spells all come together. With the Reaper, he starts at this portal power space all the way over here. If my character, let's say I had the Merchant, everything operates as normal. You roll your dice, you move, you draw adventure cards, whatnot. If you roll a 1, you take your turn with your 1 movement. But that's when the Reaper starts to become active. It's not necessarily a bad thing for you, but he's an NPC that you can use as a weapon against other players. So after you roll that 1, you can come over to the Reaper here and roll a separate die to move him a certain amount of spaces. So then he starts moving around the board. The way that he works is that if you happen to roll exactly enough to land on another character, and he lands right on either your character or someone else's character, that's when he starts to become a problem. Because right here, inside this bag here, the Reaper has his own chart. Once you roll a die, you have to consult the chart. And as you can see here, if you roll a 1 and you happen to not have any fate to help yourself re-roll, you automatically die. Meaning you lose everything, you lose all your gold. Doesn't matter how much health you have, whatever protections you have, it's all completely null and void. And you die. More concerning, the Reaper's movements, is that if at any time you're trying to exit the middle region, you don't have to exit like a regular player. You can cross from the temple straight to the tavern, or vice versa, as if you had rolled a 6 with a regular character. And he can cross the Sentinel Bridge down that way from the outer region to the middle region freely without any obstacles or anything like that whatsoever. And then as we start getting into the big pieces of things like the Highlands or the dungeon, when he reaches the end of that region, which I'll explain in greater detail when we go that way, he can teleport from there anywhere in the outer and middle region. Basically, you can drop him wherever you want on any character that you possibly want to kill. And that encompasses the Reaper expansion. The only other minor rule that they have, both with the Reaper and when we get on to the Blood Moon expansion, is that they cannot enter the inner region to go after players. So once you reach past the portal of power and you're in the plane of peril, you're completely safe from both the Reaper and the werewolf, as well as the Harbinger when we get to him. But other than that, that's the simplicity of the Reaper expansion.